Hey everybody, so I kind of do these series on TikTok. I have to change it for YouTube because uh, I put some background music and YouTube always flags it, even though it's public domain music. It's not an artist or anything. So here we are, and it's about the crazy phone calls martial arts studios get sometimes. And the one I get today and a couple times a month is people who are basically uncoachable. Now, it starts off like this. Everyone calls a studio. We answer the call. They want information, like how much is it? What's your class schedule like? And I always answer those questions, even my monthly fees. I don't hide that from people, and I send that out to them. But you get a call sometimes of a guy who says, I just want to use your facility, right? I don't want to come in and take a class. I know what I'm doing. How much is it for a few hours at times a week or whatever to come in and just use your facility? And I'm like, okay. And sometimes I have to sit there and I let it sink for a bit. And it's like, how do I answer this? And even right now, it was hard to kind of go back to it. And I said, well, we don't do that. We have a class set up. It's a monthly subscription. I told him my price. Why don't you just join a regular gym? He said, I don't need weight training. I said, okay, you don't need conditioning. I just need bags. I said, well, you could buy bags and it would cost you a lot less money. But he wants to come in a facility at his free will and use it and then go home. And I'm like, okay, well, that's like a gym. There might be a UFC gym. There might be another similar place, and he doesn't want to go there. And it's just one of those strange things. And I said, so what are your goals? And he says, I used to box a little bit back in the day, and I want to go all the way. I want to go pro. I want to go take it to the top. I can do it. And I'm like, you want to go pro without a coach, without conditioning, and just by hitting a few bags a couple hours a week? And I'm like, you understand, like, how are you going to navigate depending on, I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a Golden Gloves boxer? Do you want to go International Kickboxing Federation? Do you want to do one of the other venues? Are you going into MMA? And if you're going into MMA, I told him, are you going to get a jiu-jitsu coach to help you with your ground game? Because you got to understand that, because that's going to happen. They're going to tackle you every now and then. What do you plan on doing? And he couldn't answer any of that. He says, no, I can do it. I can just go professional. And it's like, okay. And I asked him the big question, how old are you? And he was in his late 30s. And I kind of I didn't berate him, but I said, look, I got to be honest with you. I've had a few people compete. I don't have anyone competing now. It says my new facility is pretty green, so I don't have anybody that I would put into that, even for like point karate or anything like that. I just don't have anybody ready for that. And I said, understand, like when you go into what you're saying, whether it's, let's say you're doing kickboxing and you want to get into the kickboxing field, you're going to have to learn to kick. And you're going to have to learn to improve your boxing either way. But most of those guys start at 20, and they've been competing in things like even point karate since they were kids. And they get into that whole venue early on in their 20s, and it favors them at that age. Professional fighting favors people in their 20s to early 30s. I said, once you hit about 32, 33, a lot of guys start to retire because, it gets hard on the body. It's realistic. It doesn't mean you're not good. It doesn't mean you're like you're not good at what you do. But it's like, that just is the reality of it. And, you could see he was getting upset on the phone with me I'm being honest with him. And I said, you can't get there if you're not coachable. You got to be able to take direction from a coach who knows how to navigate this, knows what your best interest is. You're not going to get there by hitting my cool bags. It's just not. You're not going to get there by just doing it yourself. You need a team. And sometimes they don't want to hear that. And that's sometimes what we deal with in the studio, these crazy phone calls. And it's basically you're uncoachable. All right, follow me. I'll share some of my other crazy calls. I'm sure some of you studio owners still get them too.